Um, did anyone ever tell you that picture looks like? I mean, well, it reminds me of Dane Cook.
That's the first time I've gotten Dane Cook on that, but I can see
Really?
it.
Did you see it right? Like I don't know if it's just like it looks like the forehead and then that mouth and the eyes like just very Dane Cookish.
Now, Steve, is it pronounced Rudzinski?
Yes, actually, good job.
I'm
Rudzinski.
usually terrible with Polish names.
Well, mine looks intimidating, but it does honestly just sound exactly how it's spelled. So,
Okay.
um,
It's that D and Z sound together. It's just tough. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
yeah, I understand. I get Rudzinski a lot, where people just see the Z and go, fuck that.
Just ignore these double consonants. It
Yeah.
doesn't belong.
Can I swear on this podcast?
As much as you'd like.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. One time I was on a horror podcast and I swore and they're like, "Can you not swear?" I was like, "Okay."
All right. So for part 2 here, we have Steve Rudzinski here to talk to us about his new movie, CarousHELL.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's not too new, but I think it's your best known film. Would you say, Steve?
I'd say best known. Yeah. It did come out this year, if nothing else.
Oh, okay. So you had it in the can for a little while.
Yeah, we finished filming it in 2016, and we hit a few conventions and a few festivals, and we got picked up pretty immediately by Wild Eye Releasing, but they just didn't release it until January of this year, 2019, because I guess they had a few things that they had to release first, and then they had sort of a plan for this year. So CarousHELL was kind of their first movie out of the gates, which I think is really cool. And then they just kept on banging it out with really weird films this year, which I respect.
Yeah, that's one thing about your film, because you did tell me as a precursor. I hope you like it because it's very weird, and
Oh yeah,
it is
very weird.
It is a very weird movie, and it has such an odd premise. What made you think of that about coming up with this type of film?
Well, my wife is the co-writer on the film, but most of her co-writing credit is coming up with the title and the concept. So she was Aline Isley, so she was the first one to come up with the idea of she literally came up to me, and she's come up to me with ideas before, and oftentimes I'm like, no, we are not going to do that. But this one, she came up to me and said, we should make a movie about a sentient carousel horse. Wait, no, sentient carousel unicorn that gets really mad at kids being bratty and abusing him, and we should call the movie CarousHELL. And I said, yes, we should do that.
Was there any inspiration from Rubber?
No, there honestly wasn't. I mean, it's not a case of I did not know Rubber existed, but at no point of writing this one was honestly Rubber anywhere on my mind.
Okay. Because I remember seeing that movie and I was like, oh, wait a second, this reminds me of, and I had to look up the name because I forgot the name of that movie.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, and then I was like, I see where this is going. This is gonna be crazy.
Well, Raj did ask me. I watched it first, and he asked me about it, and that was the closest approximation I could come to.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, my wife and I are both big fans of killer object movies, just in general. So this was me scratching a few itches. Wanting to make a killer object movie, wanted to get back into an R-rated horror film because it had been a couple years, and making a horror movie, a slasher movie with a charismatic talking murderer. And so I wrote the film as if Duke is the protagonist, as opposed to the antagonist.
Oh, and I think the voiceover is just so hilarious. How did you with the concept? Were you writing a lot for Duke first, and then went into the rest of the script, or did it just kind of just flow naturally?
The way my writing style, the way I do things, is just we come up with the basic idea, and then we come up with a 2-page outline of just basically where we want the beginning of the movie to be, the middle of the movie to be, and then where the movie's going to end up. And then we just write everything in order with however it makes sense. And then if we need to go back in and add some stuff or flesh something out, then we do that after the fact. But the way I do it, I just flow from start to finish, and that's the best way I'm able to write the characters for myself.
Did I hear right when Cowboy Cool said that this was a Nazi horse?
Yes.
Because like I was waiting for that to come up again. I was like, no, he didn't say that. And then I was like, it never
Says
came
it
up
one more
again.
time.
Yeah. Oh, he does. I missed
Just
it.
twice in the movie. Once at the very beginning that you got to get that Nazi stallion, and then at the very end when he shows up at the house, you got that Nazi son of a bitch at your door.
And I was like, wait a second, he doesn't have a German accent. I was like, why is this Nazi horse now? Like, what? I was waiting for like a backdrop of like he put the spirit into the horse from like the 1940s, or there was some behind the scenes kind of stuff going on.
Oh, we actually have a few ideas that we like, but we haven't cemented exactly which backstory is correct. All that we know is that if there is a Carousel 2 and we start to see some of Duke's backstory, we have the visual of a little 5-year-old child Hitler holding a balloon with a swastika on it, having a little mustache, and looking at Duke, being like, "Oh, it's my favorite horse."
Is that the trailer that you just read to us?
Maybe. It's.
That sounds hilarious.
And come to find out, Lori and Lunchbox are Jewish.
Oh.
Well, that's only if Duke is a Nazi. We haven't decided that yet. Or if he's a victim of the Nazis.
So how did the casting come together?
Well, casting Duke was probably the hardest job because we had like 20 guys audition for that role. We ended up going with Steve Rudzinski, but it was a very tight race between him and a couple of other fellas. But Steve has really good range. He was really nailing the sort of... he had the idea that I pitched, but he really made it his own. When I was talking to guys, I was like, I'm thinking old Snake from Metal Gear Solid 4. Someone that has been doing this for years and is tired of the shit, but he's still got this job to do. And some guy...
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, some guys did straight up a perfect impersonation of Old Snake, but I don't want just David Hayter in my movie unless I'm hiring David Hayter. Whereas Steve really got this, like, somewhere in between grizzled soldier and old-timey gangster.
Yeah.
And
he really liked it. He was awesome. His voiceover. I was like, man, he should do other voiceover work. And then now that makes sense. Sounds like he does.
Oh, he does. If you look at his IMDb, he's been in a ton of stuff. I mean, he's done like major video game work and a bunch of other movies too.
Oh, awesome.
He does something in Grand Theft Auto 5. I forget offhand. The rest of the casting was just, straightforward casting, like with every other sort of film that I do. Post the casting calls, get descriptions, and just get as many auditions as I could. Lori, played by Say Marie, was the first person that I cast because she really nailed the annoying, please put down your phone, why are you doing this? But the second easiest was Lunchbox. And I think it's been long enough that I can tell this story without me being mean to a child. But when I got his headshot, he was wearing that hat in the movie. And as soon as I saw his picture, I went, I want to punch this kid in the face right now. He's perfect.
The fedora, was it?
Yeah. So when he auditioned and he got the part, because he read better than the other kids that auditioned. His mother said, "Do you want him to bring the hat?" And I went, "Yes."
Let's see.
Sorry. You were Joe, am I right?
Unfortunately, so.
I was looking for you in the cast. I was like, wait, which one was Joe? Who was Joe? Did you put yourself or intentionally take yourself out of the credits? I didn't see it in there.
No, I was in there. I just never give myself top billing when I'm forced to be in my movies. I didn't want to fucking act in this goddamn movie. Some reviewers watch this and just like, oh, I bet the director wrote this for himself. He's like, oh, I know what. No, I wrote the character Joe because the character Joe made me laugh. And I had a good time writing Joe. And then my wife said, you have to play Joe. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking play Joe. I just want to direct this damn movie. And then my cinematographer read the script and went, Steve, you got to be Joe. I'm like, I don't want to fucking be Joe. He's the fucking co-lead of the film. That's narcissistic and stupid, and that's a lot of fucking work. I'm not doing it. And then my producer, who was giving me the whole budget of this movie, read the script and said, Steve, you have to be Joe or else I'm not going to fund this movie. So, fuck!
Yeah, it almost had like a little bit of a Bruce Campbell feel to it, the hamminess of Joe.
Bruce Campbell is probably him and Jim Varney are my biggest inspirations as an actor.
Oh, I can see that as well.
So I put a lot of effort into like facial features and like using the eyes to tell emotions, but also just over the top hammy. But that's very intentional because that's what I like.
Now the FX, the special effects were done really well for if you watch the rest of the movie, you kind of expect more of cartoony or maybe low grade special effects, but they were done really well. Tell us a little bit about of setting up those type of shots.
Well, that is, I went to Cody Rook was my makeup effects artist on this film, and I've worked with him on a couple other times. I worked with him on a much smaller film called Red Christmas. I worked with him on my straight to internet 5-year anniversary movie, The Survivors. He just did my makeup for that one, though. But he's very talented. He's very good. So that was a case where, like, some of the kills described in the script, we wrote that script originally in 2014, and we kind of wrote for what we had available at the time, what we were used to, what we thought we could get given the budget. And Cody would be like, "Well, I can do this instead." I'm like, "Oh, here's your thousands of dollars for your salary and your effects budget. Whatever you want to use and whatever you want to pocket is up to you."
Yeah, what really got me was the first kill, the clown. The penetration into the neck and the way that it looked was really well done.
Yeah, that turned out really good. Well, one of the things and Cody really appreciated this, is that he has worked on films where the director and the cinematographer kind of ignore him and set up the shot that they want, which may not be the best for the effect. He outright asked if he could like handle the camera a little bit, and I directly told him, "Cody, for the effects, you can direct these scenes because you know exactly how it has to look and exactly where the camera has to be and exactly what the actor has to do. Way more than me, because you're the guy that's a pro with this. I'm just a schmuck. I can do the acting direction, but when it comes to these effects, you're the king on this set." And in my opinion, I think that turned out way better because everything looks way better than it would have looked if I was the one setting up the camera and dictating where it needed to be and what it needed to look like. So I think that is a big reason. In addition to Cody's talent of what he's able to design and what he was able to make, I think that the kills themselves look that much better because Cody was in charge of how they looked on screen as well.
I wanted a list of your personal favorites. Your personal favorite person to work with on set, your favorite line, your favorite scene, and maybe anything else that you can think of off the top of your head right now.
Okay, this is completely off the top of my head, and at this point it's been 3 years since I've worked on this, and about a year since I've seen the film, so cut me some slack here as I try my best. Okay, what was the first one again?
Your favorite cast member or co-worker anyway on set.
I mean, my favorite co-worker on every major set is Scott Lewis when he's my cinematographer. He and I have an extremely symbiotic relationship where we know exactly how much we need to push and how fast we're able to move and exactly when we need to tell one of the other ones to pump the brakes. And we're able to get so much done in such a short amount of time, but at no point are we really ever arguing. We disagree on stuff, but we've never been in a shouting match. We've never gotten angry with each other. We just flow really well. So I will always bring back Scott whenever I can afford to bring back Scott. Because some of my films don't really have a real budget, like CarousHELL or Captain Z did. The cat movies are filmed by me in my house with my cats. Favorite line was next?
Yeah, whether yours or someone else in the script.
Oh, favorite line for my character is "Everything that I love dies."
Yes.
I wrote that about giggling. My favorite line in the film is honestly when Laurie's talking about her father, and he's been missing for years, and Lunchbox understands that, but Laurie is still in denial. I forget the exact line, but when I was writing it, I couldn't breathe because I was laughing, and everyone was like, "Why is that so funny, Steve?" Fuck you, because I find it funny.
Look, Dad's out of town on business.
It's very important business. He said he'd come back.
That's right. I forgot that one.
I think my favorite is the Pussy Barn has gotten so corporate since the buyout.
Yes.
There's so many. Oh my gosh. I actually looked up Pete's Pizza 42nd Best in the County.com.
Oh, did you? Thank
just
you.
for the hell of it.
I'm glad I didn't waste money on that URL.
Did you get a 404?
I mean, it just died on me. I was like, oh man, I was just hoping for something like, sucker, there's nothing here. But then you had to pay for that.
I must.
Oh man.
Wait,
I did have a website.
Oh, maybe I typed it in wrong then. I'm gonna look at Pizza 42nd best.
Mine still works for me.
Oh, I typed in wrong then. Best in the county. You actually did this. Oh, that's awesome! Oh, I wish I got it right the first time. I ordered pizza, then they delivered the pizza. The pizza guy took my money and left. It tasted like pizza. Oh, and he's there! Duke! Oh, that's badass.
I'm glad. I was afraid that the website got taken down or something, or I forgot to renew it.
Now, I also you had a little a Halloween type score there when they're in the closet. Was that something that you spoke to the composer? You just wanted to really give a shout out to Halloween?
I mean, the scene when written was definitely a reference to Halloween. I reference a lot of movies in my movies, but only little things like that. It's never too dramatic. Likewise, the Friday the 13th reference in this is "Take your best shot, motherfucker," and that's it. So I wrote the scene intending Halloween, and I sent everything to the composer. I did not explicitly tell Steve O'Bortz, my composer, to make it Halloween themed. I think he just got it. You know what I mean? He's also a guy that I've worked with for years, and I really trust. So, if he says me something that I want differently, I'll tell him. But for the most part, I outright tell him, you do exactly what you want from a musical standpoint. And if I want something specific, I'll suggest it, but otherwise I let him go. And 9 times out of 10, he delivers perfection without me needing to say anything. And that's another good example.
I was half expecting the end to be a chest burster scene, now that you just mentioned homages, but I was like, oh no, it just came out. I was like, because then you showed the pulsating and the movement. I was like, yes.
Yeah,
and then I was
that's something we considered, but we just couldn't do it with the prop stomach. So we were like, okay, it just pops out at the bottom. That's fine.
That is also a really funny scene, and I'm glad you got to stick through the credits.
Always, I've been doing that for years. I love post-credit scenes.
Yeah, I do too. We kind of joke about Marvel all the time doing them, but we were joking you got to stay to the end of the lighthouse to make it through to see Roger Egert's post-credit scenes.
The sequel.
Now, what was your working budget on the film?
We had a budget of $15,000.
Wow.
Okay. And what Duke? Did you have multiple Dukes, or did you shoot everything around the one?
Okay, so we had to buy an actual CarousHEll horse. It's some guy that owns a bunch of different actual real hand carved CarousHEll horses, and he makes molds of them and sends you hollow, thick plastic CarousHEll horses. And that was still $1,200.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it came to us totally white. My wife painted the hero Duke, and Cody took molds of his hooves and his head for the close-up moving action shots.
Right.
So for all the full body shots, that is in fact just one Duke. But for a lot of the close-ups where you just see the head, we oftentimes just used the action head because it was much easier to move around throughout the house or on locations and stuff.
Yeah, I loved the after the sex scene, the death of the hooves, just a POV camera with the hooves coming down to his face. That cracked me up so much.
Good, I'm glad.
Now, besides CarousHEll, which I also have problems pronouncing slightly, but what are other notable works that people who don't know your work should check out?
I would say another film that I was hired by a producer to direct his script idea, but it's very much feels like one of my movies because I was able to make it my type of humor and my type of characters and stuff. It's his idea though, so it's even a little bit more out there than I would come up with. But it's called Captain Z and the Terror of Leviathan. That is on Prime Video. If you're a Prime subscriber, it's free to watch. It's about a time-traveling pirate that has to fight a family of hillbillies possessed by demons.
Oh.
If you want to see a passion project of mine that was only made for a couple of grand, but I'm honestly really proud of it, and it's an independent film in a much more unique genre because it's a tokusatsu, which, if you're unfamiliar listening at home, that is the same genre that Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Guyver, Power Rangers is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is called Super Task Force 1, also on Prime Video, and that's just something that I always wanted to do. I made that back in 2013, but for basically what is a $2,000 superhero movie, to this day, I'm still proud of it for what it is.
Now, you personally, are you more into horror or more into comedy? What are your go-to films?
I mean, horror comedy, honestly. Like, when I watch a horror movie, I want to be laughing. But I don't want a horror movie, I don't want every horror movie to be like tongue-in-cheek, winking at the camera, self-parody stuff. I just like a horror movie with a sense of humor.
And what are some of your favorites?
I mean, my favorite horror movie is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master.
Oh.
I think
Going
that
with
is
part 4, that's a rare choice.
absolutely
Yeah.
Part 4. I think it is the best blend of genuine mean Freddy, but also wisecracking Freddy. And just visually, I love that movie the most in that franchise. I think it looks the best in terms of cinematography. The lighting is so over-the-top insane that I love it. The makeup and the glove is my favorite in the series. I love the Alice as a protagonist. I think she's my favorite horror leading lady.
Is that the one with the Q-tip kill?
No, that's 6.
Oh, man. I gotta remember 4.
You got to get up on your Nightmare on Elm Street. Now,
So that one's my bread. That franchise is my bread and butter. I can talk about that all day.
now, Stephen Raj here, he is just starting really to get into underground type filmmaking.
Okay.
So we've been introducing him to stuff along the way. What are some of your favorite directors or favorite movies that are coming out? You know, those $10,000 movies that we all seem to love.
Well, I will say, in terms of other guys that are on sort of my level, I really like Ben Dietls. He actually had a small cameo in CarousHEll as Clark, the guy that in the picnic scene that gets the ninja stars.
Oh, okay. Ninja stars.
But he's coming out with a new film next year called The Burgager Brothers, which looks like it's an 80s comedy. Like, it's straight out of the 80s. It's not a horror film. It's just some weird, small, 5-figure comedy movie that 100% looks like it could have starred, like, Chevy Chase or fucking, like, Dean Martin. I'm sorry, Steve Martin. Idiot. That's a totally different person. And I just really respect that he's doing that sort of movie in today's market. So I think that's awesome, and you should take a look at Ben Dietls, Blake O'Donnell, Ryan Littner. They're with BPO Films. And also, Dustin Wade Mills is a really talented guy. He has, like, his library is weird like mine is. He has 50% really fucking dark, heavy, artsy horror shit, but he also has 50% really weird, silly, fun, tits and farts and fun movies. And he just came out with one called Slaughterhouse Slumber Party. And that's a fun one that's coming out soon.
Yeah, Dustin Wade Mills, he does have a weird catalog. Oh, he had the Puppet movie. Oh,
Yes,
I forget the name of that.
Puppet Movie Massacre.
Oh, there was another one too, I think.
Easter Casket?
Yeah.
That was my favorite of his, personally.
Yeah, he does some weird stuff, but yeah, and he's prolific. It seems like that guy's putting out a movie every 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, I am going on 10 movies in 10 years.
Wow.
And he's got me beat.
Yeah, every time you turn around, that guy has another movie coming out. But that's awesome. It's awesome that he's able to do that. Now, one question I always ask our guests: if you're stuck on a desert island, what are the 3 movies you have to have with you? And then I guess you've already named one of them.
Only 3 movies. I'm going to take. Yeah, I'll take Nightmare 4 with me. I'll take Christmas Vacation, and I'm gonna coin flip on this one because it's either a movie that's long and I can really dive into, or it's the movie that inspired me to make movies. You know what? I already have one horror film on the island with me, so I'm gonna not pick the one that inspired me to make movies. So I'm gonna go with Batman v Superman: The Ultimate Cut.
Oh.
Well, what movie is it that inspired you to make movies?
Army of Darkness.
Oh.
Oh,
When I saw that on the Sci-Fi Channel when I was like 12 years old, and like when I was a little tiny Steve Jr. I'm not actually a junior, but I call child Steve Jr.
Yourself.
Exactly. I always wanted to create what I wanted to create is the only thing that changed. Like at first it was comic books, and I wanted to write for video games, and then when I saw Army of Darkness, I went, oh no, I want to be in movies. And I never changed my mind ever since then. So thank you, Sam Raimi. Thank you, Bruce Campbell. You are the reason why I have a career acting, making movies, and why I met my wife. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, that and Evil Dead 2 is such perfect blends of the comedy and horror genre.
When I first saw those movies when I was younger, it was really confusing to me because I never saw those kind of genres blending or mixing. I thought horror was supposed to be scary and funny movies are funny. And then when I saw these movies, like, what the heck is going on? Like, why are they why is this? Am I supposed to be laughing? Like, this is weird. There's laughter rising out of my body at the same time that blood is all over the place. This is how serial killers are born.
Sam did such a great job on those films, and he's made a huge career out of these tiny little budget films.
Yeah, Sam is a director I look up to a lot in terms of style.
Now, are you working on anything right now?
I just exported my new talking cat movie.
Oh,
so,
Garfield.
No, I'll give you the quick story to lead into why this exists. Since you aren't as familiar with me, Raj. So, like I said, CarousHELL got finished in 2016, but I was told it wasn't coming out for 2 years. I can't justify making another 5-figure movie when I can't fucking sell or make any money off the previous one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was kind of sitting on my ass for most of 2017. And my friend Bill Murphy and I, we have our own podcast, Movie Films with Bill and Steve. You can find us on SoundCloud or iTunes or whatever. We were watching a lot of talking animal holiday movies. And I kept getting really angry because they were fucking garbage. And I don't just mean like, oh, they're meant for kids. I mean like they weren't interesting, they weren't original, they weren't funny.
Right.
They were all fucking just ripoffs of Home Alone except with a dog. And Dean Cain was in like all of them, which was weird but kind of awesome. But they were movies that clearly had like 6-figure budgets because they were renting mansions to shoot in, and they had all these like lower level but name actors. Like Lance Henriksen is in one of these things, and that's fucking awesome, and he acts the hell out of his role. But it's just like, you guys had all this fucking money and you couldn't make me laugh more than once. So out of spite, I looked around my house and said, you know what? Fuck it. I have a cat and I have $500. I'm going to make a movie called A Meowy Christmas. I don't give a shit. And so we wrote a weird script about a cat that watches Alex Jones videos all day, so she thinks 2 burglars are lizard aliens that have kidnapped Santa Claus so that CEOs and corporations can force you to buy presents from them. And we made it a rip-off Home Alone, and I put it on Prime Video, and I went, fuck it, I don't care. I wanted to make a weird kids movie, and then kids loved it.
Really?
Like, holy crap. That movie was an immediate success, financially speaking. And that was just from streaming, which was paying 4 cents per hour streamed. So then I said, okay, you know what? One of my genuine dreams was to make a PG horror film, because that's also one of my favorite genres, like horror meant for the family, because I think they get really creative and do a lot of really cool things with like being scary but without being gory. Like Ernest Scared Stupid is one of my favorites, or Paranorman was my favorite horror movie.
Oh, I love Paranorman.
Yeah, that was my favorite horror movie the year it came out, but no one cared because it wasn't R-rated.
Yeah.
So then in 2018, I made A Meowy Halloween. And that one, I got even weirder because my first movie was the quote-unquote safe one. So I made this one a little bit actual scary. We had a really great designed demon dog which haunts the cat's dreams, so she has to use the Neko Meownicon to exercise him. And that one I only made for like $300 because most of the props I owned for the first movie already. So I was like, oh, I can just reuse this stuff and buy a few new things. And that one made even fucking more money in a shorter amount of time. Financially speaking, in terms of percentages, a Meowie Halloween is the best financial decision I've ever made in my fucking life. Kids super love that one, and that one keeps getting seen a bunch of times. Like, that got streamed for, I think, like 450,000 minutes in the month of October. But so, at the end of 2, the co-star of the film, the rat, passed away. And that kind of hit me hard because she was a really good rat. She was, like, very well trained. She was very sweet. And losing her really hurt. And seeing her in the film, like, really hurt. But it was great that, like, she got to live on in the movie. So we wrapped 2, and I was like, that's probably going to be it. You know, like, the rat's gone. I think she's half the film. I think I'm done there. I'm glad that I made them, but that's that. So then CarousHELL came out in January 2019, and I went to a few conventions to promote it. And I sold well of CarousHELL, but you know what I fucking sold out of at every show? The talking goddamn fucking cat movies. So I said, fuck it, I like money. So now I just got done filming a Meowie St. Patrick's Day.
Does that involve the cat getting drunk?
No. There's no alcohol, no guns, and no gore in the movies.
Because then it can't be PG, right?
Exactly. Right. So, like, we pushed the envelope a little bit with stuff, and, like, especially, like, in a Meowie Halloween, we have so many fucking horror references in that movie. The movie ends on my police partner in the film opening a puzzle box, and all you see is a white light and chains, and then he disappears. And you don't see him for the rest of the film. And canonically, he's in hell. We don't say that.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's great that you can take these little ideas and just turn it into profit and have fun doing it, because there's so many people right now who aren't making any money off their films.
Yeah, it's weird how it works out sometimes. And I know a lot of other guys that have made, like, some movies that they thought would do well for only a couple grand, or movies that had, like, fucking $80,000 pumped into them, you know, for locations and name actors, and they have not made. They're still in the red. Ouch. And that bumps me out. Whereas, like, on all of the movies that I funded myself, out of the 9 that I funded myself, 8 of them are in the black.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, thank you. Not necessarily a lot in the black for all of them, but it's paying the bills.
I was gonna say one more thing. I forgot to mention this. My favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
I loved the unicorn party montage.
Good.
That caught me off guard. I was like, what the hell is going on? The line, tits like salt licks.
When we were recording that scene, Josh, who is the Canadian brother, and he was doing stand for that scene because him and Haley know each other very well, so there was a good trust. But when she said that, he and I just looked at each other with our mouths as wide open as possible and a silent laugh without making a fucking beat. And it was so hard.
Oh, so that was off the cuff.
No, it was in the script.
The
delivery was not as perfect as we were. It was so perfect we weren't expecting it.
My favorite death was actually your death when you were like, this is what pizza feels like, and it's just taking forever on your face. And he's weapon. Like, it was the poor weapon choice.
We came up with the pizza cutter, but I was like, that wouldn't kill me in a second, so we're gonna make this last.
You're like not doing anything. You're just sitting there while he's just rolling it over your eyeball.
It hurts. Sorry, pizza. Never eat you
Otis Barkmeyer.
Yes,
like,
Otis Barkmeyer.
I love puns.
Thank you.
And then
the scene is to firmly establish that Otis dies of starvation because Joe never comes home.
Oh,
that's Otis waiting for Joe, who will never come home.
I didn't get that.
Otis. Oh. Yeah, the movie was a lot of fun.
Did you have any favorite parts?
Well, like I said, the Pussy Barn line was awesome. I went back and rewinded that just to I was like, did I catch that right?
Insider info: the Pussy Barn is the #1 pizza in the county.
Whoa. As soon as I told David I finished the movie, he texted me that line, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one."
Funny enough, just while we're on it, sorry, the interview was about to be over, but I guess not. That entire opening scene wasn't in the original script.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The movie opened on Duke's monologue, but then on Laurie and Lunchbox showing up at the park originally. But the movie felt a bit short, and I felt like we didn't get to meet these characters at all. So I actually wrote that entire opening on my own in like 15 minutes. And I was like, oh, we should also meet their mom. What would be funny? Oh, she's a stripper, but it's just a normal job. Who cares?
The best part was in the beginning, it opened up and I was like, oh, what's this movie about? And then she's like, oh, I got a staff meeting. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, typical. And then she goes, I'm like, what is she wearing to a staff meeting? And then she mentions the lap dance. I was like, oh, okay, this is funny.
Okay, good. I'm glad. That's what I try to put so many jokes in my movies, partially because I just like doing that. And also, I know that with comedies, if the comedy isn't hitting for you, you won't like the movie, which is fine.
Right.
So I try to put in like a bunch of jokes so that even if you find half of them funny, that's a win.
Yeah,
There's so many layers to my scripts.
Yeah, the sex scene was hilarious. That that made me laugh really hard.
The hoof slapping her butt.
That was me. That was me on the hoof.
And the French Canadian incestuous brother and sister.
Oh yeah.
As we were getting to that, I kept not telling everyone else in the room what I was about to write.
Oh.
As soon as I introduced them, I was like, they're gonna be siblings in a sexual relationship. I didn't say that until the line came out. And I didn't tell them that there was going to be the makeout session because I wanted it to be the audience going, "Oh, okay, good. That weird sex scene is over. God damn it, there's another one."
and I really liked all the really bad sexual innuendo between Laurie and Joe.
That was almost all my wife. She came up with every pun.
Oh, really?
Yep.
The other thing Joe said, and she's like, what do you want or something? And then Joe's like, you know what I really want? And you lean over and you're like, I need $42. And I was like, oh, God. She just wants to have sex with you, Joe.
I just want to get paid. I have a job.
Oh, I hear Joe now. I hear it. The other thing I was going to say, Preston. Preston was so funny. I was caught off guard by his acting, his comedy in the movie.
Oh, good. I'm glad. That is a friend of mine. He works with me with Marvel Live. That's how I met him, and he is just consistently hilarious. And I knew he could play that character perfectly. The way I wrote the character, because it's such a fucking trope that you got the loud jock with the pop collar, looking at titties, and he's an asshole. Yeah. So I wanted to introduce the character like that to the point where he's wearing 2 popped collars.
Yeah, I saw that.
But then it revealed that he's a fan of My Tiny Uni and he's the one that gets bullied the whole movie.
Yeah, it does get to there, yeah. I think I first busted out laughing when he got punched in the face. Just randomly out of nowhere. That guy was upset about his fan fiction. He just gets popped in the face like, what? Where did that even come from?
Who's that man? I didn't fight that man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was off the cuff. That was Chris Proud just goddamn improvising, trying to make me giggle.
Well, and to be honest, I think comedy as a genre, unfortunately, is almost dying. We just don't see much output. And I laughed as much as any, more than most of the comedies I've seen this year, which
Yes.
unfortunately isn't many. But yeah, I laughed throughout the whole film, so that always makes me happy.
Good. That really makes me happy. That's what I make almost all my movies for. Even my most serious, darkest film, Red Christmas, still has a bunch of laughs in it. Because that's what I like. So that's what I want to deliver to people. And if anyone laughs a little bit and just is a little bit happier in this dark fucking life that we all live in together, I've succeeded. That's all I want. I just want to make people a little bit happier for a little bit more.
Well, awesome. And that's the thing with indie filmmaking, especially so low budget, is that sometimes it gets a little too serious, and when you don't have all the money to back up that seriousness, it almost becomes campy and unintentionally funny.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of indie films that take themselves a bit too earnestly. There's definitely a lot of films where, like, if they just were a little bit sillier, it would have improved the film a lot.
And I think Astron 6 does it brilliantly. I mean, we were talking about Father's Day last episode, which is Canadian film ever, but the fact that you kept it funny, I think it makes it more accessible to people who don't normally look in this area of film. That if somebody owns this and just shows it to a buddy who usually only watches Marvel films, they can sit down and laugh as well.
Yeah. You're referring to me as the person who only watches Marvel films, David?
I wasn't necessarily thinking of you, but now I can see how that came out.
Well, Raj, I hope you're sitting down for this. I'm Spider-Man.
The fuck?
Officially.
Tom Holland. Thank you for coming on the show, Tom Holland.
Stuff.
Steve, I think I might enjoy you more than Tom Holland.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I watched it again last night, so I've already seen it twice. Which a lot of films I can't make it through twice. So.
Oh, good.
But yeah, it was fun to watch it. The first time I was watching it, it's the first time you sent me the link, and I had a bunch of stuff going on, so I was just watching it on my phone. And my 14-year-old stepson, he's like, keeps on walking by, like, what the hell are you watching? He's in the background just cracking up.
Was it the sex scene that he walked in on?
Well,
that's the only time people will walk in.
Yeah, that's what David was saying the other time. Yeah.
Yeah, but he heard the sex scene. He was just sitting there cracking up, and he's looking over my shoulder. He's like, "Is that like a carousel horse?"
Unicorn.
And do you think there's going to be a sequel to Carousel?
That's going to come down to whether or not we make money. Like, honestly,
yeah, obviously.
Like if we're getting our first check for CarousHELL in January.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
If it's right.
4 years.
Welcome to. I mean, we sold at conventions and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, we've made like $2,000 to $3,000 back since then.
Hmm.
But that's not the same as an actual massive release, which didn't happen until January of this year. And even though it came out in January, we got to fucking wait a year for the first check.
Wow.
Yeah, welcome to filmmaking. Why do you think I made 2 $500 cat movies in the meantime? Gotta keep those fucking lights on. But,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
But when we see that first check, that'll really be like a deciding factor on like where we will see the check and go, okay. I mean, I'm not expecting the entire budget back in one check, but if it's big enough, they can be like, okay, let's write part 2. Or, okay, this did okay, but not great, so let's do this, my horror musical idea for 10 million.
Now, do you already have some ideas in store if there is going to be a sequel? Have you started thinking about it?
We've brainstormed a few ideas, but I don't like to get too deep unless I know it's happening, because I don't want to fall in love with something and then not get to make it.
Yeah.
One idea was Duke on an airplane. Flying back home to meet his son, who is sitting at the airport in shorts and overalls and a little propeller hat, kicking his little hooves, being like, I can't wait to meet my dad! As Duke is just murdering everyone on this plane.
Wait, then the prequel, was his son also trapped in a... This is...
No, the son is the one that gets born from Sarah in the film.
Right.
Half human, half unicorn carousel.
Oh my goodness.
Because to me, also, I can definitely confirm this. When the baby Duke comes towards the screen, towards Laurie's mom, That doesn't end in death. He goes in for a hug, and then she raises that little
Ah.
baby as her own because her children are dead.
That's true.
Oh, that's all. Well, I hope you get a chance to do that, man. I'd like to see a little more of Duke's universe.
I would really like to as well. There's a lot of things we can do because like we even established in the first one with a line that he's not the only one that's like this. So maybe we can meet another one that's even worse.
Yeah.
Going forward, Duke is always going to be the main character, like he was in the first movie. There's not going to be any like weird things where like, oh, surprise, he doesn't show up till Act 3. It's a CarousHELL sequel now, motherfuckers. No, he's always going to be the lead.
Oh yeah, you're not going to Halloween 3 it.
I mean, that's my favorite Halloween movie. So now that you're saying that, I really want to Halloween 3.
If he does meet other carousel horses who are worse than him, is it possible for him to become the protagonist in a movie?
Well, in my opinion, he was the protagonist in this one. He was basically Eric Draven in The Crow. Except he got a book weapon instead of his girlfriend being raped.
Revenge, so...
Yeah, we all can hate, like, needy, entitled children, can't we?
This was very much a revenge story from Duke's POV, yeah. But yeah, who knows?
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I hope we get to see that, man. But, yeah, thanks a lot, man. It was great having you on.
One idea was that Joe comes back in the post-credit scene of Part 2 with an eye patch. And all he says is, you chose a poor weapon, and then we cut to black.
Yeah, oh, see? Because we didn't really get to see Steve dead.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you're Steve. I mean, Joe dead.
Fine.
Sorry, that was very real for you.
He had a big scar down his face.
Pete's Pizza is in a Meowie St. Patrick's Day, except now it's the 41st best pizza in the county. They moved up.
Oh, so that's going to be like your Red Apple, huh? Your Big Kahuna Burger.
well, all of my movies take place in the same universe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of actual character crossover. Axe in this movie originated in my first movie, The Slasher Hunter, where he was a shitty wannabe slasher.
Congratulations on your success, and I hope you have further success. Go ahead and plug away. Where can people get in touch with you? Where they can buy the film?
Absolutely. If you would like to buy CarousHELL on DVD, or if you want to rent CarousHELL, if you don't know if you want to buy it, I would definitely suggest just heading over to Amazon, picking up a copy there directly from Wild Eye Entertainment. That'll help me look good and get the numbers up on the DVD in terms of those sorts of sales. If you want to check out all of my other films, buy any of my other movies directly from me, which is the best way to financially support me, if you wanna. Head over to silverspotlightfilms.com. I have my entire store page there. I got a bunch of DVDs, a bunch of Blu-rays, a couple limited editions of the CarousHELL are still available. That comes in a pizza box from the film.
Awesome.
Big box VHS. Facebook.com/silverspotlightfilms if you just want to keep an eye on news, if you want to see pictures, updates, memes that I randomly make because I own my own page, so fuck it. And if you want to check out my films just without buying them, which is also fine, but you want to support me, you have two options. A lot of my stuff is streaming on Prime Video, and that is a totally viable, legitimate way to check out my films. I have no problem with that. However, Amazon only pays 1 to 4 cents per hour streamed, depending on how many people watch the whole movie.
That's
so
crazy.
If you want to, yeah, I know, right? So if you want to support me a little extra, but can't financially justify buying like a bunch of my movies, which I get. I have fucking 10 of them. If you bought 10 DVDs, that's over $100 on some schmuck you don't even know. I actually have started my own streaming service for all of my content, stevebuster.com. It's $5 a month. Right now you can access my entire library of feature films and shorts, not including CarousHELL because I don't own the rights to that, but also a ton of bonus features from all of the DVDs and Blu-rays from over the years. So as of right now, for $5, there's about 12 hours worth of content to watch. And there's more coming. I'm updating it with new video twice a month, and then every once in a while there'll also be like first sneak peeks at like the box art for Meowie St. Patrick's Day or the trailer, and Meowie St. Patrick's Day will debut on Steve Buster before it comes to Prime or DVD. So if you want to give my stuff a try and support me the second best outside of buying my films, I would suggest try out Steve Buster for a month, subscribe for 1 month for $5, and then unsubscribe. I don't mind. That's what it's there for.
That's awesome, man.
cow.
Have you reached out to any other independent filmmakers to maybe get a few more films on the site, or is that something you look to do in the
There's a
future?
couple of whispers of me maybe doing that with some stuff, but I want to make sure that I get all of my stuff on there first.
Okay.
I don't want to sell it as like, hey, you can watch all my movies, but I'm going to upload 3 other guys first before I get to my back catalog. Because one of the selling points coming up is that, like, for some reason, people like my really, really old Wolfster movies from back when I was like 18 years old. A very small group of people, but they do. And those movies haven't been available to purchase in years. So I want to upload HD remasters of those movies to Steve Buster right after Meowie St. Patty's Day is up.
Yeah, because I've seen, especially with Amazon dropping the rates, which, I have a lot of independent filmmakers that are on my Facebook or that I know personally. And, I've seen that's a conversation that's been going on, banding together and doing some type of streaming service to make back some money. So it's awesome that you're doing that, man.
I just figured I'd give it a shot. And like a lot of other filmmakers have Patreons, but I wanted to do something a little different. And especially with Patreon, it's someone paying money to get access to links that are just on YouTube or Vimeo, as opposed to them just getting, like, Patreon's a middleman, and that's not a problem, but I figured I just wanted to try this, because so it's this way, it's like you're paying the $5, and then on this same website is everything. You can just scroll or search for what you want. You type in Slasher Hunter, and boom, all the Slasher Hunter bonus features and the Slasher Hunter movie are right there.
Well, congratulations on that, man. Great deal. Yeah, everybody, check out Steve's work. It's going to make you laugh. And it's just fun. It doesn't take itself seriously, and it's just a fun, they're fun films to watch. So please help support indie artists and get those physical copies. They're always great to add to the collection.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so
Please
much
buy
for
my
being on the
movies.
show.
SilverSpotlightFilms.com. Second place, subscribe to SteveBuster.com. Third place, stream them on Prime. That's fine, but 1 or 2 would be really swell.
These are ranked.
It's the ranking of the best way to support me.
Well, Steve, thanks again. You have a great night, man.
Thank you so much for having me again.
It was a lot of fun, man.